Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. This is one big box. So, first off, big shout out to the guys up at MB Models at Leeds. They've helped me get this, as they're pretty difficult to get hold of at the minute in UK. And I was purposely after the one that doesn't come with battery and everything. So we've got the red one, no battery, no charger, but it does have all the radio gear fitted. So, it's the Losi or Losi Promoto. So let's bring you in for a close-up look and see exactly what you get in box with this. I'm going to try a bunch of different batteries to see what fits, and give you a few little sort of hints and tips to get this working best, and try and explain what a few settings are and that, just to help you out if you're thinking of getting one of these things. But got to find somewhere where it'll fit on camera. So here we go. So this is a big box, really big box, but let's get straight into it if we can. This is the first unboxing I've had to actually do stud up. So if I hit the camera a few times, I must apologise. So first thing we get in the box is the instructions. So it looks like you get a full sticker set. We get a number set, bit difficult to see on here, but they are all individual numbers. So we've got 0 to 9, and then you've got a whole bunch of rows of them. We get a little Promoto sticker. We get a QR code badge with the upgrades and support. And then we get another sticker. We get the quick start guide. Does tell you what to do to set it up. And you can pause the video. We get the option parts. Some of these look really nice, especially the carbon plates and the metal chain adjusters. But yeah, there is some really nice parts available. I did have a quick look online as well, and they do other rider gear, or at least one set of rider gear I found that you can order. Then we have a full set of instructions. So it tells you how to set the bike up, how to get into the battery, best practice of learning how to drive it. Keep wanting to say ride it, but you're not riding it yourself. Did wonder what the nails were for, and then I picked that up and saw it had got 2 holes in it. But it does give you a good explanation of what all the different settings are, how you can get in stuff, and it is in a whole bunch of different languages. And now we can get on to the interesting part. So, to be completely honest, they are really well packaged. So I'm quite impressed at how this actually comes. We have quite a nice radio gear, and it is all set up for the Promoto. So you've got front brake trim, steering sub trim, front brake travel, and then you've got the MS6XO rate. I'm guessing that's the sort of stability control. You've got your flywheel on off, steering normal and reverse, and then your throttle limit. Then we do have the socket on top. You've got your lights for your battery level if you're using the smart battery. You've got the channel 3 button, which is used to go through your different driving modes. I'll cover that in a bit. And a bind button. So, not the highest quality feeling controller. It does have to run off AA's. And these battery draws are always a little bit weird. Kind of does feel a bit cheap after using the FlySky MB4 and Noble Pro. But for an RTR one, at least they've actually reprinted this to make it make sense for the Moto. But yeah, not a bad controller. I know they did do an app for this, and I think when I had one of the, trying to remember which other Losi it is that I've got now, but I've got this similar controller, smart controller, and I did think about getting the connection for the top for the phone, and looking for the sort of Bluetooth and the app, but at the time, which were only a couple of years back, it looked like they dropped all support for app and just get up with it. So yeah, But that's the transmitter we get. Let's try and put this somewhere safe. So we also have a stand. This is like your launch pad, if you like. That's what your nails are for. You get a proper motocross stand, quite like this, really nice. Nice little touch. We get the AA batteries for transmitter. We do get some chain lube. We get a bunch of tools, including the nails. And then we get, which is definitely bigger than what I thought, but we get as Promoto. Quite nice looking. It's arrived in one piece. You do also get another bag with the shims for adjusting the chain tension, and you get another ring for the steering servo saver, and a block of foam. Taking it, the block of foam's got battery, and I believe there's some small round spacers, so I'll have to have a look through instructions and see what they're for. There's a few other little bits and bobs in here, but let's get the box out of the way so we can give you a proper look at this cool little motorbike. So we've got a few interesting little things with this. It is a real chain, so you do have to check your tension. You don't want your chain hitting your swing arm because it'll chew its way through it, but also you don't want it like a bowstring. And if you move the chain around, because anybody that's had a motorbike will realise that you can get tight spots, so just check for tight spots. And then you take this axle out, and this is where you put your little spacers. So if you look in the bag, you've got a whole bunch of these little shims, and they've all got different measurements on them, so you can pop these out. These shims actually go into the back. Once you take the wheel out, you put it back in, and then it moves your wheel closer or further away, so it'll change the tension on the actual chain. That's pretty cool, because these will wear as they bed in. They'll sit further down in the actual chain ring before it totally wears out. But if you keep these greased and keep them clean, you should get plenty of use out of it. Few nice touches what I've seen on it. So the back lifts up, so when you wheelie, if you go too far, you don't rip the back off. And I've already seen a whole range of aluminium parts. Some of the nicest are the VITAVON parts, look absolutely stunning. Really nice touch that the front disc is actually a floating disc. So that's quite nice. Anybody that into motorbikes will appreciate that little detail. It's a floating disc on it. I've seen a few comments saying, why don't it have a brake on the back? But you've got a brake on the back because you're connected to your motor and you brake with your motor. And on a motorbike, most of your braking on a road bike is done with the front wheel, but off-road you tend to brake more with rear. So I think it's a nice touch that you can change the front brake trim and you can change the front brake travel. The way I understand that is you can basically change your brake bias from how you've got the ESC set to brake to how you've got the front caliper actually set to brake, which, depending on whether you want to set this up with Supermoto tyres, you might want it braking more with front. If you set it up with the off-road tyres as it comes, you might want more bias towards the rear. So that's quite a nice, interesting touch. I have read in instructions. It does tell you need to turn the flywheel on first when you start the actual vehicle. So you power it up, you turn the flywheel on, you wait for like 10 seconds or so for the flywheel to actually get up to full speed, and you'll hear the flywheel motor pitch not change, so it'll steady off. Then you actually drive the vehicle. It doesn't advise trying to drive it with the flywheel turned off. So you've got your stability control basically, so you can control how much interaction that has. So next, we got the chain lube, so we can keep his chain nice and oiled. We do have this extra spring for the steering servo, which I think I'm going to fit. These on the side are adjustable, so like you'd have droop screws on touring cars and 8th scale sort of race buggies, race vehicles, you've actually got a tiny little grub screw down here, and you can bring these further up if you want to race more on tarmac or asphalt. If you want to go off-road, you can wind them down so they actually sit lower down. It does make it a lot easier on grass and off-road. If you lower these further down, if it tips over too far, the chances are you'll be able to blip throttle and just carry on rather than it fall over and stop. So that's a nice little touch that both of them are adjustable, and they are sort of spring loaded so they don't snap off. A bit like a torsion bar really. Quite a good design. Quite interesting that all the gear zips off of the rider. I do like that. And as I said, the optional parts for these are absolutely insane. I don't think I've seen a vehicle come out and so soon after it come out, just a million different op-ups for it. Not sure if putting too much aluminium on it would be a good idea, or aluminum if you're from the States, but certainly if you make it too heavy, you're going to affect the way it drives. We do have a fake disc and caliper on the back, which again I don't mind because your rear brake is dealt with by the ESC. Stickers look to be put on pretty good on this. There's a couple of little tiny blemishes where they're sort of bubbling or creased, but to be totally honest, for an RTR, quite impressed. You can buy the inserts for the wheels, so your hubs, if you like. I've seen them in aluminum. I believe there's somebody brought out some real nice alloy wheels for it as well. So the two sort of motor plates for the flywheel and the motor and everything, I have seen them in carbon. Your power button is hid under his right sort of leg, and to the best that I can tell, you can use the Hobbywing programming cards to interact with this ESC. So it looks like to get that extra spring on the servo saver, looks like you're going to find it easier to pop this mudguard off, and that'll uncover the servo saver completely, because it doesn't look like you can get down to it that easy without doing that. And this is the actual proper motocross stand that it comes with, that I quite like. Makes it nice and easy to work on it. And then this is your sort of launch ramp, if you like, or takeoff bracket, and that's where you stick these two gretted nails. They go through under here, and then you can take off from this rather than have to hold it and help it on its way. Not really sure how much use that's going to be. Suppose it depends. If you've got a whole gang of you and you're racing these, it'd be quite cool to have a race start with these all nailed down. Even if you just stick them into dirt, it'll stop it flipping that way. But let's have a look what batteries, because we're going to be, the connector on this is going to be the IC5, and that sits right under here. You've got one clip to come out and you can drop it down with the exhaust, which I quite like that. And then it also gives you a little sort of hole to tuck the wire through. But let's have a look what batteries we've got kicking about and see what fits. So the stock Spectrum battery is a 5000 milliamp hour 50C. So we've got a 100C 7.2 volt 8000 milliamp hour Z pack. So let's see if we're anywhere close to this being able to fit. So I mean, if these will fit, these will be a cracking option. You've got 8000 milliamp hour compared to 5000, and they are a fraction of the price. I think the only issue we might have is the balance lead. Maybe it will. That does look very close, and at least that balance lead's not going to get caught in anything. So yeah, these Z batteries, that is a really good fit for this Promoto. So we can tuck the wire under there. and it's really easy to plug in. Yeah, I think we found as running battery. I mean, they're an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, and I'll just quickly see if I can find out a price on them. But I'm guessing it's going to be considerably cheaper than what we'd be paying for a Spectrum battery of that size, like an 8,000 milliamp hour battery. So let's search Z2S Lipos. So we have, you can get two 5,200 milliamp hour batteries. They should fit. They're £40, so round about £20 each, $20 each-ish. Well, let's see if I can find a link for these 8,000s. So the 8,000 milliamp hour batteries, you're looking at around £43 each. Yeah, so you're talking £68 for a Spectrum one, or with a charger, or £61. Found one. Yeah, that comes with EC5, so you're talking £61. So you can basically get yourself a Zeee battery and a charger for the price of the Spectrum battery. But you're going to get a much faster charger because you're not going to be having a USB-C charger that's only 20 watt, and you've got 8,000 milliamp hour instead of the Spectrum's 5,000. Every now and again there is offers on these Zeee packs as well, so you can get them even cheaper, but I will put a link to the description of the exact pack I'm using, because as you can see it fits really well. So let's get a few batteries stuck in this. So we got his batteries in. Always power your transmitter on first. Start with flywheel off. So if we just press and hold the power button. So if you hear it start up, it'll calibrate itself. Then you get the beeps to say it's ready. So with the steering, you'll notice it turns the opposite way, which is counter steering, which is how bikes tend to turn. So you've got your sub trim for your steering, so we can get it going in a straight line. Now let's spin it round. So at the minute you can hear the ESC fan. So if we try front brake, so we've got it turned down quite far, but let's try the adjustment. To say that's brand new pads, that's not bad at all. We've got the travel turned down quite far as well. So if I turn the travel up, yeah, you don't really going to be wanting much more brake than that. Front brake trim doesn't do a great deal. It does move it, but not huge. But it may be enough to stop it binding without you having to adjust it if you're out using it. Front brake travel, there you can see that does make a difference. So travel all the way up, most front brake, all the way down, least front brake. So when we first turn it on, we've got, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but we've got a light flashing here that is like a yellow light. So first off we need to turn this flywheel on. Then you'll see your light goes solid. That's really moving, that flywheel. And it's still going. And maybe it takes about 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds to get up to speed. But then you can tell it sort of evens out. So we've got as modes, and all I'm pressing is the A and B switch. So if it's all the way down, it won't flash. Next one is 2 flashes, that's 1 click up. 3 flashes all the way up, and that's how you change your modes. So with the button all the way down to the bottom, and it will only change these modes when the flywheel is spinning to what I believe. So one green light is off-road mode, and that's for driving on dirt or grass. This mode has wheelie prevention, so it tries to keep the vehicle down so you're getting the most amount of acceleration. And it's designed to catch most wheelies. If you whack the power on really hard, it hits something, it can come up, but it's designed to keep it in as stable a mode as possible. So if we press it up once, and then you'll get 2 flashes. So 2 flashes is for driving on smooth hard pavement. This mode has wheelie suppression and will catch most wheelies early, setting the front wheel down and allowing for maximum acceleration. So if we go all the way up, you get 3 flashes, and this is for driving on smooth hard pavement, and this will allow you to wheelie, and it tries to maintain the wheelie for as long as possible. So hopefully that clears that up. Now, as wheel is off the floor, so let's have a look and see what this accelerates like. So it has got enough speed to balloon that back tyre slightly, but that's very interesting. You do have 50, 75 and 100 on the throttle controls. So that's 50, 75 and 100. It is really weird how the steering turns the opposite way. You'd possibly tempted to flick the switch, but don't. Bit strange that we don't have any alteration for the steering, because it sounds like the steering is going too far. So it's definitely straining against the servo saver at full lock, which usually in an RC I'd say premature failure at steering servo. It's quite quick though, this. Because we're not using a smart battery, you don't get the telemetry sent back, which I couldn't really care less about. It's got Lipo cut-off and everything. But I think that just about covers everything that I'm wanting to do. So let's see what it's like to fit the extra spring for the servo saver. One thing it does say about powering the vehicle off, it says don't do it without the battery connected, because apparently it employs a brake to help the flywheel spin down, and if you just power it off, it can keep going for around half an hour. So you see, when I turned it off, it just kept going, whereas if you turn it off on the controller first, you can hear it actually starts braking, and this will stop the flywheel way quicker than you just powering it off and letting it run. Quite a high-pitched squeal, I must admit. Yeah, that's really annoying. But apparently this is the way, if you want the flywheel to stop relatively quickly, this is how you have to power it off. Because it's one hell of a flywheel and it keeps spinning forever. But once that's off, you can just press and hold the power button, turn it off, and then turn off our transmitter. So, let's dig into it and see what it entails to actually fit this extra spring that we've got, and see how successful that is. So it looks like we're going to need a 2.5mm hex driver to get the front axle out. You can actually buy either uprated or more bling axles. So that just screws out the back. and then the wheel drops out the way. And probably going to be easier if I tip this on its side. And I think again we're going to be looking at a 2.5mm driver. To get these screws out of the mudguard. They're definitely longer than I thought and a bit awkward to get to. So hopefully that should be as mudguard out way, and that should allow us to get to the servo. So we can certainly get to the servo head. So you're then going to want a 2mm driver. Not the most awkward thing I've ever worked on, but at the same time a little bit awkward to get your fingers around the forks and everything. So we do have one small hex screw in the top of there. And then it looks like it does have a bearing. The only other servo savers I've ever seen to run this way are the VITAVON Racing. Still got to do a video on them. I've been trialing out some new VITAVON Racing servo savers, and they are absolutely amazing. Certainly for any 110 touring car, absolutely fantastic. So we do get an extra spring, which quite a lot of people have told me you really need to fit this to start with. Apparently it does stop a lot of bump steer and does improve the handling quite a lot. So let's see if I can get you a shot of that. It's going to be a bit awkward with forks in the way, but basically you're going to be pushing all this back into place on the actual servo saver side itself. Just make sure it's set all the way down. Then we're going to have to get the servo saver top in place. And then if you just turn the steering, you should feel it locate. And then it's going to be the pain in the backside task of screwing this all the way back in, because it's quite a long screw and it's a little bit fiddly. Not too bad if you've got the ball drivers. So if you've got the MIP ball drivers, like I have, it does make these kind of tasks a lot more bearable. Alright, and when you get it all the way down, I would tighten the final bit up with a proper driver. But yeah, not the nicest of tasks, that's where it is. So now we need to get our mudguard back on. And I know loads of other people have jumped straight in and shown you the video of it driving around, and I just thought I'd like to do something a little bit different and give you sort of a full instruction on what I would do to set this up, what all the different settings are for on it. Just basically give you a bit more of a look round, and as I tend to on this channel, just give you a bit more of the sort of information that other places kind of leave out. Anybody that's been watching my channel any amount of time would know that I'm not big on just thrashing the RCs all around outside. I tend to cover the topics that the other channels don't, just to give you guys something a bit different, basically. And there is a lot of the other YouTubers that I watch, and I do really enjoy watching them drive cars around and everything. But then I just like to sort of help share the knowledge of how you do these more awkward bits, and just cover a few of the aspects that don't seem to get covered by the mainstream channels. So let's get his wheel back in. So you don't want to be prying these, but if you just let them fall open, you should be able to wiggle your disc around and get it into the pads, and then drop the little screwdriver out. And we should be able to put his axle back through. So again, the axle is a 2.5mm. That's back together. So yeah, a tiny little screwdriver just to hold the brake pads apart will make your job a whole lot easier getting your disc to go back through into your pad. You don't want to force it through because you're going to end up damaging the actual pad material. So now we've got that extra spring in, well, it's definitely not affected the steering in any bad way. Yeah, we can quieten that down. You can actually feel the gyro effect, which is quite surprising. But yeah, it's quite a nice little RC. As soon as I get some decent weather, I will take it out for a spin and get some running video. The adjustments on these are just done with, I believe it's a 2mm hex. Yep, so you've just got a 2mm hex that you just screw in or out down there. It alters the grub screw, and then that'll take these further up or lower them down, so you can bring them up. So on really flat, smooth surfaces, you can get more of a lean angle on your steering and everything. But I think that's enough of an unboxing and introduction. We've covered what batteries fit. The Zeee batteries are going to be a fantastic option. Certainly to say that they fit really well up in this battery compartment. You've got plenty of room to bring the cables down that way, so you can route them just up above the exhaust. It's got like a cutout, and they do fit, and you've got significantly more runtime with an 8,000 mAh battery than you have with a 5,000. So definitely the Zeee batteries are definitely going to be a decent option for it. I have used these quite a lot in me Slash and quite a few other RCs. So yeah, I do trust these Zeee batteries. I've even used Zeee batteries in my race cars and never had an issue with them. But let's wrap this one up. So there you have it, the Losi Promoto-MX. I'm really impressed with this so far. I've just got to get to grips with how it drives, so I can't wait to get some decent weather. I've got a good few of them batteries, so I should get quite a bit of runtime, and take this out and try and get some running video for you, and see if I can give you any hints, tips on how it drives, or see how it goes. Again, huge thanks to MB Models and all the guys up there. I will leave a link in the description below, so if you're after one of these, you can get in touch with them. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to sell you one. But thanks again for watching WTF Rc Cars. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.